on to this. And again, I'm giving you this information. I'm giving you the facts. So you can go and look it up for yourself. And you can find your truth. Because some people are like, well, I heard that, but I don't want to believe it. Okay, that's fine. But here are the facts, as they have not been told to you. Now we got George Washington as president in 1789. And let's understand what was going on at this time. Once again, Britain had gotten their butts kicked, and they had gotten kicked out, hostile takeover of all of their companies. But the way they had to get them back is that they had to bring in a crony for the Queen of England, which was George Washington. And this is why they created this new constitution. Now, I need y'all to understand what had happened and why Morocco even came into the picture in the first place. Remember I told you Britain and Morocco had been in bed together since the 1400s because they were trading. And some of y'all, well, what you talking about, Diva? How was they in bed? Go and look up the Barbary treaties. Look up the Barbary Company. Take Zuma, Tripoli, Morocco. Those were your Barbary companies. And they were owned by Britain. And what did they do, these Barbary companies? What did they do? They traded goods, mainly sugar. That cane sugar, which is a drug. For those of y'all who don't know, sugar is a drug. It's more addictive than cocaine. So, we got George Washington is in the house. Now, he is a crony for the Queen of England. And as I told you, what had happened is when Britain had gotten kicked out by the elite Moors, they called on Morocco. They called in the dogs. They was like, hey, you know, you and us had a peace treaty between, so there was a treaty between Britain and Morocco, but not with the United States of America and Morocco. So then after Britain got their butts kicked, they called in Morocco, called in a favor and said, hey, Morocco, go in there and rough them up. And that's exactly what Morocco did. They came into the United States, and these are your Moors, the melanated folks mostly, because we're talking about Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli, Montezuma, Morocco. And so they came in and they seized the ports and the ships of North America. And what was happening is there was a slave trade. But y'all be like, that's right, Diva. They brought our people over here from Africa on the slave trade. Hold on, because that ain't how it happened. Pay attention. Who was running the slave trade? They want y'all to believe those were Albions. But when we go back and look, because we do our homework here, because we're mature people, look up the Barbary treaties and look up, understand what's really going on with the peace and friendship treaties. What was really going on in the Barbary treaties? You got to understand, these were treaties between the United States of America and Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli. And that's when the Peace and Friendship Treaty comes into effect as well, around the same time. Well, what was going on? Why was the United States begging for a treaty? Why they need peace and friendship? Well, because when Morocco was seizing their ports and their ships, it was breaking them. They didn't have money. They weren't bringing in any funds. And what was on those ships was slaves. Slaves. But they want you to think they was melanated slaves. When the truth is, and I need y'all to take notes, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't want to hear another melanated person talking about they are descendant of the slave. Unless you mix with Albion, you gotta understand what the term slave means. The original slaves were Albion people. They were not melanated. The term comes from Albion people. Slavic or Slovakian, look it up. Slavic or Slovakian, look it up. So the term slave comes from a group of Albion or light-skinned people, not melanated people. This is what I tell y'all, these words get switched up and y'all get caught up in a word and you legally are damning yourself every time you say it. So the term slave comes from Slavic or Slovakian, which are Albion people, and who was bringing in the slaves but these Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli, Montezuma, all of those are over in Africa. Morocco, Montezuma is more so in South America, but all those other ones, these melanated people kidnapping Albions. Where they kidnapping them from? Sicily, Ireland, all these places where the Albion people had multiplied and accumulated. They going and stealing them and bringing them into the land, discombobulating them. Huh? Who the original slaves? These were Albions, not melanated people. So when you talking about a descendant of the slave, you're talking about a descendant of Albion people. I'm not telling you, if you want to keep calling yourself a descendant of the slave, then call yourself that. But then what you just said is you have no entitlement to this land. You're not from here. You called yourself black. Well, we are black. Well, then black means dead. I need to go into this. Think of all of the Black Lives Matter, HBCU for historically black colleges and universities, the NAACP, something for the advancement of colored people. I need y'all to understand that every last one of the ones, at least that I have mentioned, and probably any other thing dealing with black or Negro or colored, they're all owned by Jews. And I don't want to hear you talking about some, oh, you racist. I'm giving you the facts. Anything you thinking about in this society that's talking about black for the advancement of the black and the advancement of the colored and the Negroes and the Black Lives Matter, don't no melanated people own any of those organizations. As a matter of fact, when I'm talking about HBCUs, not nary of them, with the exception of Morris Brown in Atlanta, which almost got shut down, and I think they rebooted it. But the rest of them are owned by Jews. And if you didn't know that, and you walking around here, I'm black and I'm proud. Okay, keep on saying it out loud. And understand why you keep getting stepped on. Because you keep claiming to be a dead entity. I hope y'all are taking notes. Because I want you to do your research. Don't just, oh, well, Diva said it. It must be true. Don't believe a word. Don't believe a word I say. Not nary. Go look it up. That's why I'm giving you the information. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to see it for yourself. And then I need you to speak the truth that you have found on your own. Don't regurgitate what nobody says. I don't care who it is. Don't regurgitate. Go and look it up for yourself. And then when you speak it, it is your knowledge that you have looked up for yourself, not something I told you. All right. We have the Peace and Friendship Treaty. Now, let's get into this document. I need to reference also the George Washington letter to Morocco. I need y'all to understand what this letter was. When I talk to these Moors, the first thing they bring up, oh, the letter to George Washington to the Morocco with the Sultan, and he said that this was the Sultan territory. I told y'all, Morocco was only involved in this because they were a crony. They were working with on the behalf of England. All right. And so now when George Washington comes into the thing as president, now he's got to smooth over stuff with the Sultan of Morocco. He and George Washington, you're talking about the number one politician, that was George Washington. So George Washington, he ran the army beforehand, but that's how he got his popularity. The people knew him as one of the generals or what have you in the army. or the military. So when he gets into office, because he was popular, he is a politician and he is kissing the butt of the Sultan like nobody else. He's like, oh, Sultan, we're so sorry, your magnanimous, wonderful, lovely Sultan. We're so sorry that we're so late with this, but we want to tell you thank you. We really do appreciate all you did for us and all the kind things you did for us, because without you, we would not be, and that's why we want to just give you all the glory and the gratitude. Okay, so he's saying all this stuff. Then he goes on, and you got these people in, these Moors that tell me about, how he says this is your territory, when really the only thing they were there, the Moroccans were there, or Morocco was just there to intimidate and beat up on the United States of America. It was never their territory. It was never ceded to them. They just asked for a peace and friendship treaty. The other thing that people don't look at when they see that, when they point out, George Washington's letter to Morocco. All right, the Sultan of Morocco. Here's the deal with that thing. When you read in there paragraph 4, for those of y'all who've read it and you like to point stuff out about, the Sultan, but that doesn't mean that this was territory belonging to Morocco. I still don't have any kind of documentation saying that this territory belonged to Morocco. But again, you show me one document you have, and I'll show you 3 for your one that says that's not the case. All right, because the original people have already spoken that this is their land. And even when you're talking about international standards, even if they did try to sell it, they couldn't sell it. It still belonged to the original people of the land. The problem is the original people of the land don't know who they are. And I need y'all original people of the land to understand why you don't want to be calling this Morocco, because the only people who have the right to make any kind of contract concerning this land are the original people of this land. And the problem is, when y'all original people start yapping your mouth, talking about this is Morocco, you are turning over this territory to somebody who you're trying to get away from in the first place. Who does Morocco belong to? Do you have any kind of documentation, first of all, saying that this land is Morocco? You don't. But I got a whole bunch of documentation saying that it's not. And then you got to understand who Morocco is owned by. It's owned by U.S. corporation. So if you original people who are sleeping, wake up. If you are the ones who are saying these things, they need you to say these things, because when you say these things, then you give this territory back over to people who you're trying to get it away from in the first place. Look on the record at who owns Morocco. And here you go talking about, this is Morocco. And that's what, and I told you, it's not just Albions lying to you. There are melanated people who are lying to you, because you think everybody who got the same skin color as you is your kinfolk. That's not the truth. Because as I just said, there was a melanated people already here in the land. And then another melanated people who are known as Europeans. The original Europeans, they came over here. So now you got 2 group of melanated folks. Who's who? Well, spiritually, you know who's who when they start claiming a certain thing. There are people who know full well they just do not align with the title Moor or the Moorish movement. They know in their spirit something ain't right about that. I don't know what it is, but it don't feel good to me. And then there's those who like, no, this is right. I like. Well, then you know who's who on a spiritual level. Spiritually, you're gonna go where you belong. A perfect slave. Thank you, perfect slave. Welcome. I love this. A perfect slave says, you have no facts. For all my people who are in the who are in the comment section, give this guy some facts, because I done posted it. See, because perfect slave, the fact that you calling yourself that, if you're not light skinned, you telling me you don't know who you are. Now go and look up, since I'm gonna just start here with you, perfect slave books. I'm gonna start here with you. Look up the term slave, the etymology. I'm gonna spell this for you. Slave books, ETYMOLOGY, etymology. Look up the etymology of the term slave, and I want you to tell me what the etymology of that term is, meaning the origin of it, and you will understand that it's derived from Slavic or Slovakian. So I can understand why you're upset, slave books, because you didn't do your homework. You listened to what somebody else regurgitated to you, and now you regurgitating it, and you went and took a title, and you probably got an LLC on the perfect slave books, and don't recognize that what you're doing is not in order with what really happened in history, because you didn't do your own research. I just told you, look up what slave is. You look it up, and then you come back, and then we could talk some more, because I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to give you the facts for you to look them up yourself. Slave. All right. Now, I love you. I love you, perfect slave. I want you to be the perfect original people of this land. That's what you need to be. You're a perfect original people of this land. Stop letting people tell you to call yourself a descendant of the slave, because what you're doing is you're giving over title of your land to somebody else. You're saying, oh, I don't have ownership of this. All right. So, but I love him though. I love people like him, because they need to be addressed. This is a teachable moment. He comes in here with this, with this title on his name, and is clueless about what he's spouting. Okay. So I'm going to go for it. Now, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, I need y'all to understand something about that document. The problem is that we need to start reading. Let me just rephrase that. As we start reading these documents with more clarity, we're going to recognize what we're looking at. The Peace and Friendship Treaty is not a treaty concerning the land of the Americas. It's concerning the people. So read the treaty. And in the treaty, what you're going to find, remember I told y'all what America means? Somebody put it down in the comment section so slave books can read it. Perfect slave, my treaty is on record. I already talked to my people. These people here understand about how to operate under trust, how to operate in the private. They know. You new to this game. All right, you new to this channel. You new to knowledge, I can see, because you call yourself slave books. So we hope you get it together. That's all right. I get it. It's a religion that you brought into when you're dealing with the Moors. I get it. But be willing to learn. All right. So when we get into this thing, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, I need you to go and read it, because you're going to understand there are two different characters it's talking about. There's two different characters. There's the people who they call the Americans, which are these elite Moors. And then you got the Moors. They call these people Moors. Anybody who's dealing with Morocco and any of these other Barbary states. All right. So you got the Moors over here, and you got the Americans, which are these people. And remember what we said. American means, go look it up. Look up what Ameri means. It means copper-colored people. Ika means land of the indigenous people. America means land of the copper-colored people, and that is a Hebrew term that was created by these people over here, because the original people of the land did not speak Hebrew. The original people of the land did not speak Hebrew. The land was named that by these Moors. This is elite Moors. And then here your other Moors who were doing the Peace and Friendship Treaty with Morocco in this document. So it only talks about these two groups of people. And what that document says is, all right, if our Moors come down to America, and if they do anything or they have any issues down there, you're supposed to send them back up here, and then we're going to deal with them when they get home. And likewise, if your Americans come up here to Morocco or any other territories that are Barbary territories, then we're going to send them back to you. So that's what they're saying. If they come up here, these Americans, they come up here and they do anything up here in Morocco, then we're going to send them back. It doesn't have anything to do with the land. It doesn't say anything about Morocco owns the land or this is their territory. None of that. If it was the territory of Morocco, then what is this peace and friendship treaty between them and North America? How can United States of America write a peace and friendship treaty with them if it already belongs to Morocco? See, that doesn't even make any sense right there. So now, I'm saying to you, I'm giving you this information. Go look it up and read it for yourself. The other thing about that peace and friendship treaty, about the declaration, about anything else, I want you to look at who signed the peace and friendship treaties. Look at who signed the declaration. Look at who signed the Constitution. When you go through those documents, you will not find not one name of the original people of the land. Well, Diva, what's the original people of the land? What's their name? Didn't I just tell you what those 13 treaties are? I told you where you can go pull them down. You're going to find all of the names of the original people of the land. Not all of them, but you can find the vast majority of them. And not one of those names is on the Constitution, the Declaration, the Peace and Friendship Treaty. They got Smith and Williams and Johnson and Jones and all these other names, but none of them are of the original people of the land. And let's be clear, this is law. When we're dealing with land, the only people who have the right to make any kind of contract concerning the land are the original people of the land. So if you telling me you got 3 contracts, declaration, constitution, peace and friendship treaty, if any of them are concerning the land, it is null and void. Because none of the original people of the land signed any of those contracts. None of them. So this is why I'm saying to you, listen, if you don't know law, that's how they're duping you, because you don't know law. You running around calling yourself black, Negro, colored, descendant of the slave, African American, minority, all these names, these titles you're taking on, you're not understanding the legal ramifications of them. Not to mention, there are all of these contracts that you can use to your advantage, but that you don't know about, they don't tell you about. And then there are contracts that you're trying to use to your advantage that aren't meant for you. When you say, yeah, the peace and friendship treaty, and I'm Moroccan and I'm from Morocco, you have just declared that you do not have any title or entitlement to land in the Americas. As an original being of this land, again, I told you our history was ripped from us when our ancestors were forced or threatened into not speaking about the fact that they from this land. So you from your ancestors, and see, here's the thing. People talking about some, well, I did this, the test, the blood test with the ancestry.com, and they said I was 60-70% Igbo or whatever, African. What does that mean? Because when my students and my clients, they go do their homework and they research, they're like, you know what, Diva, I did the research, but I didn't have any of my ancestors that was slaves. I didn't have that in my ancestry. Yet when I talk to my Italian and my Albion folks, and they go, well, my grandmama had this Bible. And in the Bible, it showed that, we were slaves when we... Stop regurgitating what everybody's telling you and do your own research. Because when you do, you're going to start finding out that things were twisted. The same way I told you, they twisted the names. What you know of as Africa used to be Europe. What you know of is Europe used to be Africa. They flipped the script. The same way they flipped the script with the terms black and white. Same way they flipped the script with the term slave. Now they got y'all calling yourselves that. That's all right. That's all right. In a few years, Albion's going to be calling themselves nigga. That's okay. It's flipping. They want to be you. All right. Let me continue. So you understand it now. We went over the Peace and Friendship Treaty. We went over George Washington's letter to Morocco. And understanding one more thing about that letter to Morocco that you need to recognize. I told you George Washington was a crony to Britain. All right. And then you got Morocco over here was in bed with Britain. And then George Washington comes in here and he's got to play both sides. That's what politicians do. They got to play both sides. Nobody knows that he is a descendant of the Queen of England. That's not common knowledge to the public. But he's got to act like, no, I'm here for y'all. I'm here for the American people. That's what politicians do. Okay. So George Washington comes in here and he pretends to be for the people of the United States. Well, here, let me help you understand something, going back to that letter to the Sultan, what he said. George Washington says to the Sultan in paragraph number 4, Sultan, we want to thank you for helping us out with Colonel Proctor. We want to thank you for helping us out with Colonel Proctor. George Washington was thanking Morocco for helping them out with Colonel Proctor. And you might say to yourself, well, who is Colonel Proctor and what's the big deal? Well, Colonel Proctor was responsible for destroying the Indians and the Indian tribes of the Americas. That's what he did. They say, hey, Colonel Proctor, go find him and kill him. And that's what he do. He find him and kill him. All the Indians, the tribes, that's what his job was. And here George Washington is saying, you know what, thank you for helping us out with Colonel Proctor's situation. As if that's our guy and you hooked us up. Meanwhile, the Indians over here getting ran over, roughshod. They getting ran over. And George Washington is a part of that run over. And you want to tell me how he's thanking Morocco and Morocco is somehow a friend to the people, the Indians of this land? I don't see it. I don't see it. Because you can't tell me the Moroccans are helping you with somebody and that person is killing us off and you're grateful. No, that's not, you can't tell me that now Morocco is a friend to the people. And then you can't tell me that Morocco is here for the good of the people and that this is their land. And you won't be telling me to say that this land belongs to Morocco. That's not how this works. And you haven't shown me not one thing on paper. Where is your proof, slave books? Because there is nothing on paper saying that North America is Morocco. Not one thing. But I got 13. And then I got 14 when I talk about the Iroquois Confederacy. And I can bring more than that. I can bring in the fact that there's all these maps. These maps coming in here talking about how the land was divided between the French. As a matter of fact, how the French had to buy, or how the United States bought Louisiana back from the French. Mexico owned it. You got Russia in here owning it. Who else? You got the United States and Britain owning stuff. Ain't not one territory. Then I have them more. You know, they come in with some stupid stuff. They go, look here, Diva, look on this map. And it'd be a little dot. I mean, you got to squinch to see. You're like, okay, what does it say? And then it'll say, Mauritania. But that doesn't say Morocco. No, but it's Mauritania. It's the same thing. It's M-O-N-M. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You showing me a dot on the map that say It doesn't even say Morocco, but you want to claim that that is Moroccan territory, but that's a dot. Look at all this other territory up here that everybody else is claiming, and how is it you saying all of North America is Morocco when that dot is the only thing that you believe that they can claim, and it doesn't even have the name Morocco? So I'm saying to you, show me some proof, because everything that I'm showing you says that is not the case. And if that was the case, then that whole peace and friendship treaty is not necessary. Because in that peace and friendship treaty, it wasn't talking about the land at all. Go read it. Go read it. Then tell me how it's talking about the land, when everything is talking about are the people of the land. All right. Anybody got any questions? If you got questions, let me know. Let me get ready to get out of here and close this up. My bottom line is that there's enough documentation to show that North America is not Morocco. And then if somebody is bringing that to you, tell them to show you the documentation. Don't give me some roundabout stuff and don't insinuate. No, don't insinuate it. Put it in writing, because I got 14 documents. Now, there's more than these 14. They are treaties that state clearly, and they come long before 1777. As a matter of fact, when you go pull those treaties down, you're pulling treaties down from 1400s, 1500s, some in the 1600s, but this was when everything first started, and the original people of the land, they said, this is our land. It stays in the name of our people. We will subjugate ourselves to you. We will pay you taxes, but the land still is in our name. And it's still in the name of the original people to this day. The problem is the descendants of the original people are fast asleep. When we wake up and we first of all claim who we are, then you can start claiming what belongs to you. So they are not competent in jurisprudence. Yeah, you're not either a perfect slave. You're not competent in jurisprudence either if you run around calling yourself a perfect slave books. All right. Yeah, you need to get on etymology and some history. All right. But I love you. I want you to know that. Noble Drew comes in and he created some organizations. I won't go into all of what he did on this session, but what I want to point out is a document that he put on record. And there's a lot of flaws in it. And he's speaking about how, and listen, a lot of these Moors have come, this is a religion for them. So they're not going to go and read the document for themselves the same way Christians don't read the Bible. They don't read the Bible. They don't know what's in it. They're not going to go and read the document for themselves. They're only going to believe what somebody told them. And so I need to point out that there were flaws in that document, just as I've pointed out to the Christian that there are flaws in the Bible. And of course, they don't want to hear that because that shakes their whole foundation. Well, I understand it's the same thing with some of you people who call yourselves Moors. So pay attention. He says, Noble Drew Ali, in his document that he's sent into Congress, that the people came from another land. And then we met up with our relatives, and so now we are one. And so now we the owners of this land by default. Okay, there's a flaw in that theory. Again, I say to you, if you want to come with the argument that, oh, we're all related, that's fine. But if the houses get separated, grandmama over here and grandmama's sister end up separating and her family go off that way. Grandmama has established her house over here. Grandmama's sister, children can't just come over here and bust in on the house and be like, oh, well, we want this room, we want that room over there, we want that room. That's not how that works. You don't get to just bust in and then say, oh, we claiming this as Moors. Going back to the treaties, the name of this land, or the land is in the name of the original people to this day. It is under treaty. And if you can't tie back to those original people, then you are not a descendant of this land and you do not have entitlement to it. Furthermore, what you are calling yourself will establish whether you have entitlement to this land or not. If you're calling yourself black, you're saying you're dead. If you're calling yourself colored, you're saying you're fake. If you're calling yourself Negro, you're really saying that you're an Albion. If you're saying you're African American, you just said you're an orphan. If you said you're a minority, you just said you're an imbecile and have no standing in law. So I'm just giving you the facts. You got to understand on a legal level what the ramification is for the title that you're calling yourself. Everything is a contract. Everything is legal. That's what we are. You're just contracting. And every time you open your mouth and you start talking, you're writing a contract. Recognize what you're saying and what you're calling yourself, because people are holding you to it. If you're calling yourself dead and ignorant and non-descendant and from somewhere else, a descendant of the slave, then understand why you get that treatment. But see, what had happened is, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to get ready to get out of here, is that the elite Moors, when they came into the land, they lowered the status of the original people of the land. This was another group of melanated people pooping on the original people of this land. So the original people of this land, they were originally called Indian. And that meant that they were of the land and they were entitled according to the law, legal system. But the Moors, the elite Moors, remember I told you they were ignoring the original people of the land? Well, they started ignoring them because they changed their status. They changed their status to colored and Negro. And this is around the time when they had threatened the Indians to stop claiming that they were Indians and from the land. Why did they tell them to do that? Because they wanted to take the land over. And they're still taking the land over to this day. And the problem is that the descendants of those people are clueless. Well, we're going to wake up. We are going to wake up. If you got any questions, I'm ready to get up out of here. Seth Decibel, welcome. As a matter of fact, the majority of what you're saying has been said time and time again by Moors. Yeah, some of it, Seth, but a lot of it they will lie to you about. They're not going to tell you that they are the original European. They're not going to tell you that. All right, I'm just checking to see if I have any questions. If I do, if you all have any comments. And once again, there are maps that when we post this, you're going to be able to see how this territory had been divided up. And this was before 1777, and Morocco didn't have not nary territory listed as theirs. America, Perfect Slave book says, America you are speaking is in the Webster's Dictionary 1828. Thank you, A Perfect Slave. See, now he's backing up what I'm saying. Thank you, or he or she. Thank you for that, Perfect Slave. So when you all go do a search on Google, you type American, 1828 dictionary. American, 1828 dictionary. And what you're going to find is that in there it's showing you that the term American was originally applied to your copper-colored people. And then the Albions started taking on the term, which was never meant for them. Once again, a flipping of the terms. I hope y'all getting this, because it's all throughout our history where these terms get flipped. And if you're not doing your research, you calling yourself things and not recognizing it. And then you wonder, well, what Black Lives Matter, and they treating us like we ain't worth nothing, because you keep saying you ain't worth nothing. You keep saying it. Legally, you keep saying it. Once again, black, African American, colored, Negro, descendant of the slave, minority. All these are titles, and they have meanings that are different from what you think they mean. Legally, they are different than what you think they mean. All right. Show the treaty. Listen, a perfect slave. In case you came in late, I want you to find this link. It's called unarepublic.com/docs, DOCS. When you go there, there's a list of treaties there. There are 13 of them in that list. Also, you're going to find the Iroquois Confederacy there. And you're also going to find that notice that was written by the Indian Confederacy when, just after the United States, those who were running the United States had degraded their status from Indian to colored and Negro so that they can take over their estates. All right, that was melanated people who did that to another melanated people. And then they started selling them into slavery. That was melanated people selling the original people of the land into slavery. And they want y'all to think they came from Africa. And we know how long it takes to get from Africa to over here. And then they're not telling you that they was just selling them up and down the Americas. So that's why they sold me down the river. That's what that was about. They sold me down. They sent them from North America to South America. Then from South America to North America. They're discombobulating them. Then they tell them, you came from Africa. Yeah, who did that to them? That was the Moors that did that to the original people of the land. Again, I say to you, it's not just the Albion that's lying to you. There are melanated people who are lying to you just as hard as the Albion, because it's in their nature and in their desire to make sure you stay a slave. Y'all ain't getting it, then I don't know what to tell you. You stop judging somebody just because they're the color of your skin. Know who they are on the inside. Because truth be told, and some of y'all gonna really be upset with me on this one. Truth be told, some of y'all more related to the Albion than you are to the Hamitic African. Some of you all are more related to the Albion than you are the Hamitic African, because the Albion came from you. You just think, oh, he black, we the same people. They don't think so. They don't think they the same people. They'd be glad to come over here and step on melanated people and call them all kind of names. I'm not saying you should play that game with them, but I'm telling you that the truth is they know who you are. And they're not like, we're not with them. They'll get mad at them because they come over here and won't call themselves black. The original Europeans and the original white people were melanated. All right, we're not going into that. How do you purchase the book? Thank you for that. You can find us. You can find the link in the bio. This is the UNA Beginner Law Book. You can go to unauniversity.com. unauniversity.com. All right, and the book, it comes with the book. So you can get the ebook or you can get the physical book. It also comes with copies, because I want y'all to put these up on your refrigerator, on your walls, on your mirrors. Put them up so that they can be your reminder. But this is the hierarchy of law chart. This is a very important chart here. This is new to our collection. This is societal totem pole, where it deals with mindset in the public and the private. Also, it has the civilization wheel in here. It has the vibratory frequency chart. Very important. Also, the universal laws. This is what we stand on. All right. The book has all of these documents, well, with the exception of the newer one. But it also has the hierarchy of laws. It has the hierarchy of laws, the maxims of law. All right. All 200 and something maxims of law that come straight from the Bible. When I'm going into court, this is my Bible. And I'm standing on this. I'm standing under God. All right. So, A Perfect Slave says the UCC game is over. I'm going to say this to you. When we're talking about the federal jurisdiction, we use that as our sword or our shield. So when you know how to use those UCCs, why are we good with the UCC laws? Because the UCC laws are codified common law. That's what they are. The UCC laws are codified common law. And they also are in harmony with God's law. So the federal jurisdiction made sure that our rights are protected. Our God-given rights are protected. That's what the UCC are. Those are federal codes. So when you say the game is over, you better know how to use it. You better hope it's not over, because that's where your power is. You want to learn how to use those UCC codes because they're in harmony with what God has put down for you. This is what I mean when you're talking about jurisprudence, slave book. You're not talking jurisprudence when you trying to get rid of the thing that's trying to back you up. What you want to be over is the state codes. That's what you want to be over, because the federal is that organization that has put down some rules to help you and back you up. All right, y'all got to learn that, because a lot of people are trying to fight, and I'm letting you know you don't have to fight, because somebody already put the rules and the laws down for you. You just got to learn what they are. People keep telling me, oh, they don't play by the rules, Diva. They don't be playing by the rules. The problem is you don't know the rules. Y'all be out here talking about some darn, oh, it's just chess, not checkers, and you playing Monopoly, and you in jail trying to roll a double, and you don't have one die. You don't know what chess is, nor checkers for that matter, because you don't know the rules. You playing Monopoly and you're being monopolized. Thank you, Paris. Subrogation. That's when you're in court. And subrogation, and I've gone over this in one of the sessions before. So once again, y'all find our sessions on UNA Republic on YouTube, so you can see these full sessions and understand what subrogation is and all of these other things that I go over for legal reasons. But when we're talking about subrogation, when you're in court, you must understand there are financial instruments at play in that court. And especially if you are the defendant and the state is coming at you, or any of these other so-called governmental agencies, every last financial instrument that they have created, which is worth millions of dollars, it's in your name and belongs to you. You just don't ever know the claimant. And that's when that term subrogation comes into play, if you ever find yourself in court. All right, I hope I answered that question. Slave Book, I want you to hit me in the inbox. And I hope if you ever want to have a conversation, let's have it. It's not my desire to upset you. I'm just here to give the facts so that people can go study them. I'm not here to convince you. I just want to give you the information. And I have given out a lot of information. I've given you a link, and we've actually set up information at that link for you to go and pull it down yourself. All right. So, I'm not trying to convince you, friend. I'm just here to give you the facts. And I know it's, it shakes your foundation, but we got to be willing to study before we knee-jerk on this information. Michaela says, so I guess I have no business being here. Thank you for your information. I did gain. Okay, thank you, Michaela. If you talking about, oh, she's a light-skinned woman. You got business here? What you talking about? You a child of God? Then you got business here. Nothing that we speak about is discriminatory. As a matter of fact, as an Albion, you need to understand what's going on. Because melanated people, they're coming back into power. And one of the things we're not understanding is the spiritual thing that's going on here. At one point, melanated people were on top, as we sing when we do our true history, and the fact that all the original royalty was melanated people, and the Moors were the ones who were running the country. And all, when we understand that, melanated people were on top. And the Albion was on the bottom doing dirt, especially when we understand that Albions learned everything they know from melanated people. So this is a spiritual game, because when you give them dirt, they get the opportunity to turn it back on you. That's why you see Albions doing what they're doing. Okay, but everybody has their time, and at some point it's going to switch back over, and melanated people are going to be back running stuff. Well, when we get back up there, we need to be operating in our right mind. That's why we ended up in this place in the first place. Well, we're not coming back to this place again. We're not going to be in a situation where we're on the bottom and we're getting beaten. We have all these negative things happen to us. It happened because of what we did to them. But a lot of people don't get that. So yeah, Michaela, just because you light skinned, yeah, you need to be here. You need to understand what the term slave meant. And you need to do the research on your history. And you might find out that you got some secrets or some things that you didn't know. The book is $39.99. $39.99. So go ahead and get that book, and it comes with those wonderful tools in it. The information. I'm just reading all the questions before I go, because in the treaties they are Christian nations as British. Yeah. Okay. No. They talked about Christians in that treaty. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. It's got, like I said, so-called Americans, which were those people who were running the United States of America. And then it's got the so-called Moors. And then it had the Christians. It spoke about the Christians. But the main topics were the Americans and the Moors. Those are the main people that they were dealing with. And I'm not even sure about who the Christians were. We made to think that they were Albions. But you do need to understand that when we're talking about Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, all of those come from melanated men. The melanated male, Islam, all of that comes from the melanated male. So when we talk about Christianity, melanated folks created that. So when they say they use the term Christian, today we thinking it means Albions, but I'm not so sure, because the Christian movement was started by melanated people. You need to know that. How can you get your trust? Find the link in the bio. There's our link tree, and it's going to take you to where you can get or enroll to get a trust with UNA. All right, you do have to enroll. We do interview people before you get a trust, because we need you to be in your right mind. We don't want you, because the trust is a very powerful tool. We don't want you out here thinking you can just do dirt to people and then be up under trust. And then that trust is something we helped you get. We're not interested in helping somebody get a trust when they're not operating in their right mind. All right. So that's it. Let me see how I can get a trust. I want to make sure I got everybody. Okay. We did that. All right. I'm yours truly, Diva Lyri. I want to thank you guys for joining. We're going to get up out of here. I'll be back sometime, probably next Friday, maybe in between there, Wednesday. But I want to say I thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this information with you. Thank you all for hanging out with me, because this was a lot. I know I put it on you. I put it on you tonight. I'm out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See y'all later. See y'all next week.